Hey, happy World Fringe Day, everyone. we are here with Sarah from Fundy Fringe and Tony from Grahamstown Fringe National Arts Festival, South Africa. How are you both?
Great.
I'm very good, thank you. Hello.
Hello. We've just sprung this on you, Tony. So you are fresh to these live sessions.
That's okay. I have tea, I'm all right.
You're all right. What time is it in South Africa right now?
It's 2:15 p.m.
Wow.
Oh, so pretty reasonable. And Sarah, how about you?
9:13 a.m.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your festivals and something about them that we couldn't find out online. How about Tony? You go first.
Okay, well, we run two festivals because one Fringe is not enough. So we run the Grahamstown National Arts Festival, which started in 1974. We've just finished it, actually. Sunday was our last day, so we're all a little bit weary at the moment. And then 3 years ago, we started the Cape Town Fringe Festival in Cape Town, obviously. We came up with the name first, and then we had to find the city, so we did that way around. And there's not much that isn't online, actually. It's all pretty open and transparent. The Grahamstown one is completely open access. You literally have to fill the form in and you get given a venue. We program all our own venues. So you apply directly to us and then we allocate you a venue and schedule you and all that kind of stuff. And we have about 2,500 performances over 11 days at the end of June, July every year. Cape Town is a selected Fringe, so it's much, much smaller. It has about 60 productions that we select from a whole range of applications that we get. And that call for applications actually went live this morning. So we hope to get lots of amazing proposals in the next few days.
Wow, well done. And Sarah, what about you? Tell us something, but give us a little bit of essence of your festival.
Fundy must be really small then by comparison, because we're a CAF member festival, so we don't handpick our shows. We follow the CAF mandate of everything is by lottery or first come first serve. And so we only have 20 productions, but we are what I would consider to be kind of a baby festival because we're only going into year 5 this year. So we're pretty young on the Fringe scene, but we've got a lot of chutzpah and a lot of guts and glory. So we're not afraid to kind of push the envelope a little bit more. Something about Fundy Fringe that you can't find online. Despite how small we are, somehow every year there's at least one person that is naked. There's one show where somebody like strips down right to their bare bones, and I don't know how it happens. It's only 20 shows, and how is it the same?
Is it the same person each time, or do you
no. If it was the same person every time, I think it'd be like, okay, yeah, this person has a shtick. This person has their thing that they like to do, and that is get naked. But no, just every single year, I think. It's just one of those things that maybe that's how people think they're going to be risque and push the envelope. It's I'm going to be naked.
Naked
yeah.
Last year.
Well, that person, it's just yeah. So I've got my fingers crossed for this year that we have another nudie.
It wouldn't be Fundy without a nudie. So how did your journey start? Tony, how did you get into Fringe Festival? When were you first aware that Fringe was a thing?
Me personally, I was a student in Grahamstown in 1991, and because the festival completely takes over this town, we were a small little city, we only have a population of 70,000. And the festival completely takes over every nook and cranny, so you can't help but sort of bump into it everywhere you go. So I was a student, and since then, I've been to about 24 editions of this festival, but I've never been as a festival goer. I've only ever worked. I had one year I had a job putting up posters. Another year I ran a music venue. I did that several times. I've been here as a member of the media, and now obviously I'm here as the CEO. I believe it's a lot of fun, and one day I look forward to coming to it just as a normal festival goer. And to experiencing it in that context. But yeah, I guess most South Africans are just aware of it. It's an event which has been going for just over 40 years. And for most South Africans, I think it's on their bucket list if they haven't been here already. It's one of those iconic events.
Amazing. So you have been on quite a long and varied Fringe journey in that case. You've done almost, except for pure audience, you've been in all the guises.
Well, I've never performed. I've emceed at events, but I'm not a performer and I would never claim to be. So that's the other thing that I've never done. But yeah, I've done pretty much everything else.
On your bucket list?
No. Some things are better left for professionals.
On our bucket list.
Sarah, when did you start falling in love with Fringe festivals?
Very similar to Tony. I was in university at the time, and New Brunswick didn't have any Fringe festivals, and I don't even think PEI had a Fringe festival that time, but we knew about the movement. We knew what it was about, and there was always the Atlantic Fringe, and so we would skip down to the Atlantic Fringe and check out shows when we were in university and all that kind of stuff, just to see what's going on. And friends would graduate and they go do shows and stuff like that, and it just got to a point where, you know, we had to keep saying to ourselves, like, you know, Halifax is beautiful and wonderful and that Fringe is great, but how come we don't have one of our own? Why can't we do this? And so 5 years ago, it was decided that this little theater festival that we were already coordinating, it wasn't a Fringe, it was just more of a summer theater festival. And we decided that, you know, let's make this a Fringe. So we took a year off and we reached out to CAF and put an application together, and we've been going for 5 years ever since. And I mean, I'm an actress and a director by trade, and so getting to kind of go and do the administrative side of that stuff now is really cool, and it's been really fun. I've enjoyed it, and I now sit on the CAF exec, which is absolutely bonkers. I love those crew of people. They're crazy and amazing.
We've got CAF coming on later for some live CAF updates. So with so you think festivals are important and there's a purpose for them in our culture. Can you just kind of pinpoint why you think they're important?
Cool, I'll go first, but I just wanted you to say hello to Zikona, who you met in
I recognize you. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks, and you guys?
Good.
How
How are you getting on? I haven't seen you for a few months.
Not since Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer the question, what was the question again?
Why is Fringe important?
Oh.
What's the purpose?
I think that there's, in the South African context, it's really important to have this platform for uncensored, open, democratic, loud, brash, often unrefined, but very solidly thought through ideas. And to give our artists this kind of platform, I think is hugely important. You know, so many artists battle, and I'm sure this happens all over the world, they push against a closed door to try and get slots at some of the established festivals or the established institutions and theatres and so on. And what a Fringe does, and especially given that until Cape Town came along, we were the only Fringe in South Africa, it completely democratizes that and says, whoever you are, if you've got something to say, come and say it here. And in the South African context, and given where we've come from as a country, it's so hugely important to have that as an outlet and as a platform. Going way back to the 1980s in the apartheid years in South Africa, this festival was very much a platform for political protest theatre. It was the place where South Africans came to get angry about things and to express that anger and to express a viewpoint that often was not palatable to the establishment and the government. So it had a very important role in those days, which has extended into a post-democracy South Africa.
Awesome.
Oh,
Political
like
agendas with that one.
Yeah.
Love it. How about you, Sarah?
Well, with the East Coast of Canada, we kind of face a problem that is going to be probably a struggle for a long time, and that's we keep losing our people, our citizens, to either Toronto or the West Coast, because people say that there's no jobs on the East Coast, and they do have a valid point, is that finding work, especially in the arts in New Brunswick and in Nova Scotia and PEI, is incredibly difficult. And so we keep you know, losing people to, you know, say, oh, I'm moving to Toronto because the theater scene there is so much more rich and vibrant. There's just so much more work. I'm moving to Vancouver to do film, or they're moving to, you know, they're just moving to the West Coast. And so for us, it was trying to create something where we could retain our own artists and retain our art without having them to go away. And I think it's been working. Our lineup of local artists increases every single year, and they're making money, and they're beginning to make themselves, you know, that professional artist that they want to be in their own home. They don't have to move away, which is really cool. I actually got to talking with a performer last night on his radio show, and he started doing Fringe shows a couple of years ago with a group of friends of his. And then this year he's actually branched out and he's doing a solo show by himself, and he's really immersing himself in the Fringe movement. Like, he's going out and he's going to other Fringe festivals and seeing what those shows are doing, and he's taking workshops with well-known Fringe artists like Gerard Harris and Nancy Kenny, and learning from them. And it's just so cool to see that evolution from, you know, a guy who thought, I'll just do something with my buddies and let's see if we can have some fun, to really transforming himself into an artist. And it is so cool to see that it's working, it's happening.
Yeah. How great is that? Isn't that wonderful? So I was, in fact, Tony, can you tell us about the Alliance? Because you've got an amazing touring network there.
Yeah, a few years back, we, together with a few other Fringe directors, established this loose coalition, if you like, just called the World Fringe Alliance. And really what it was trying to formalize a set of existing relationships that we had. So today in that alliance, there's the Hollywood Fringe, New York, Brighton, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, Prague, Grahamstown, Cape Town, Perth, and Adelaide. And so those 10 fringes exist as an informal alliance. There's no legal structure, it's just an alliance. We do have a secret handshake, which I can't really tell you about.
Tell us.
But the purpose of the alliance is really to try and make it easy for productions to move between fringes and to facilitate that, to give our artists the opportunity to move. So in our festival, which has just ended, we had 2 productions from the UK that I saw at the Brighton Fringe, and we had a Dutch production from the Amsterdam Fringe. But in the past, we've had American productions, we've had Dutch, we've had Australian, we've had productions from the Prague Fringe, and similarly, we've sent productions from South Africa to some of those festivals. And it's just a really cool way of exchanging ideas and sharing artists, but also to have someone to phone, because it can be quite lonely running a festival. And very often you find that the same problems that we might be having in South Africa regarding, I don't know, ticketing or the website or the app or whatever the case might be, is a problem that someone else has experienced somewhere in the world. And it's just nice knowing that you've got a group of friends, a phone call away or a Skype call away, that has been through this, and you can either just bitch and moan at them, or you can maybe get some advice and some help from them. So that's really what the Alliance is all about.
Yeah, so important to have that feedback.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up and say happy World Fringe Day to you both, and all 3 of you, and say thank you very much for joining us here on World Fringe Live. Would you like to say a parting word to the world?
I'll let Z have the absolute final word, and I'll have the second final word, which is just to thank the 2 of you for the work that you're doing for Fringe globally, and obviously to Edinburgh as well. Happy 70th birthday. It's nice that someone else is the oldest person in the room for a change. So happy birthday to them, and keep it going. But I'll let Z have the real last word from South Africa. Z said in Kosovo.
Hi guys. I want to say happy birthday to all the fringes out there. We must continue working hard and giving all the platforms to the artists, emerging artists, and then whatever happens, we must just rally on and have fun. I mean, really, Fringe is about fun and getting to know each other, and then meeting all these new nice and people. So happy birthday to every Fringe festival that's out there.
Hey. Awesome. Thanks. And Sarah, your parting words.
Just, you know, happy World Fringe Day to everybody. This is absolutely amazing that we even have a World Fringe Day. It's incredible. Thank you, Holly and Kath, for just being the amazing people that you are and rallying these troops, and 200 plus troops. And you know,
the rabble.
Well, thank you for being a part of this movement too. It's so cool, you know, getting to chat with you guys, especially Z, because we met back in Montreal, and it's so cool to see you again. I actually saw a business card as I was cleaning stuff up today, and I was like, oh, Z, you know. But,
and there you are. There you are. Love it. All right, guys, we're happy our Fringe debut.
Bye, guys.
Mwah. Fringe on. Fringe forward.
Bye,
Take
everyone.
care. See you. Bye.